We need to have a conversation about why it's a lot deeper that Taylor Swift did not credit the Jackson 5 on her song Would and what that actually represents. Historically, many black artists were not credited by white artists when they would, in so many words, steal, in so many words, jack, in so many words, just like not credit artists when they would take their music, reinterpolate it, or straight up just use it, the entire song, and not give the black artist credit. Do you even understand what that means? That means that the money, and yes, I'm bringing it to money, because for a lot of black artists, specifically back in the day, in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, if you don't know about this, you need to learn about this. Back then, there was something called race records. Race records was where a lot of early black music was put onto because obviously this country's racist and they didn't want black artists to be on these mainstream labels, this mainstream whatever with these white artists. So they had their own record labels called race records. And that was where a lot of black artists had their music on. And so that meant that a lot of their music was not super mainstream. And those that did end up cracking into the mainstream, that was awesome for them. But because of racism, a lot of their music was not becoming like super mainstream. And so a lot of it was stuck on race records. And so when they would make music, right? And this is music going back into like slavery days, okay? Let's be honest. When a black person would make music, when a black group would make music, they would make the music, right? Whether they wrote the music, whether somebody else wrote the music and they just sang the music, it doesn't matter. When they were doing this music, they were doing the music and it was on race records and they weren't getting a lot of promotion and they weren't getting a lot of, people seeing their music. Fast forward, if a white artist, if a white group, if a white band, which was very, very prevalent back then, for a white band to come and take a song done by a black artist, right? And just basically re-record the song as a white person, as a white group, as a white band, and not give credit to the black artist, and not, tell people where they originally got the music from. And then they would just make so much money off of the music, right? And then you would have these black artists who were not credited, who were not given their just due, who these artists wouldn't even say that they were, inspired by these artists, right? They would just take the music and run with it. And then what happens is that all the hard work that a black artist would put into their music would be overshadowed by the white artist who took their music and put a white face on it and made all this money off of it. Then later on, down the line, when said black artist passes away, the black artist dies completely broke because a white artist took their music, because of shady deals in the music industry, because of so many factors, honestly. But the fact that there were white artists, white groups who would take these black artists' songs, these black artists' music, these black artists' sound, and they would literally take it, put a white face on it, and make so much money. And then the black artist who created said sound, who wrote said music, who sang said music, whatever it was, and they would not get credited for it, they would die broke. They were not getting compensated, directly compensated for the music that they were making. And it was just truly disgusting, and it happens to this day. It happens to this day, honestly. And the amount of white artists who literally rip off black artists is atrocious, honestly. And that's why it matters to me so much that she did not credit the Jackson 5 on Would. It means something when you do not credit black artists, right? And you can say that the Jackson 5 are one of the most famous families in the entire world. Of course, they have money. Why does it matter? But it does matter. It's the principle of it all. Did you know that Michael Jackson, when he passed away, was broke? Yeah, he was broke. He had no money. Okay? The last album that he put out was Invincible. He did not get to go for a tour on that one. And after that, we know that he had a lot of lawsuits and all of that. So he had to pay for lawyers and all of that, right? And then he had to move from Neverland Ranch with his family, with his kids, and they traveled all over the world. And that was to get out of the United States because y'all were acting crazy and y'all would not leave that man alone. And then the only reason that he was going to do the This Is It tour was, one, because they forced him to, obviously. But two, because he wanted to get out of debt. He wanted to get out of debt. And so he was going to do the tour. And then he passed away. The only reason that the Michael Jackson estate has money today is because of the posthumous releases of his music, and because people started to, feel bad because he passed away, and so they started listening to his music again. But before Michael Jackson passed away, he was dead broke. No pun intended at all. He was dead broke. And it's like these artists having to tour and tour and tour and tour, specifically black artists, tour and tour and tour just to make a penny in this business is ridiculous. But then you have somebody like Taylor Swift, who is able to go on tours, make billions and billions and billions of dollars, be able to put out record after record after record, and every time that she puts out a record, she has to put out 5 to 10 different variants that everybody has to go and buy because each one has something different on it. And she's in this capitalistic game where she's making all of this money off of y'all's hard-earned money. She's making all of this money off of y'all, but she can't credit a black group, which is one of the pioneers of what popular music is today. Without the Jackson 5, you wouldn't have all of those boy bands that we had in the 80s and 90s, okay? There would have been no New Edition or Boyz II Men, okay? There would have been no new NSYNC or Backstreet Boys, okay? New Kids on the Block. It's because of the Jackson 5, okay? The Jackson 5 put on for so many different artists. And then we already know, but hello, if it wasn't for the Jackson 5, we wouldn't have Michael Jackson. And if it wasn't for Michael Jackson, we wouldn't have so much that we have in pop music today. So much that we have in pop music today. And it's really disrespectful for you to not credit legends in pop music. Legends in popular music, right? And then also, I have an issue with it because she's talking about her partner Schlong. She's talking about her partner's Pink Schlong. Did you know that Michael Jackson was a child when he performed I Want You Back? Why in the world are you using a Jackson 5 sample on a song about your white partner's schlong? We don't want to hear that, Taylor. We do not want to hear it, okay? And also, I hear all these things about how you sued Olivia Rodrigo up the wazoo, and she had to give 50% of some of her songs on her debut album. But you're not going to credit people on your album, Taylor? It doesn't make sense, and I don't like it. I don't like it, and it's highly disrespectful to black artists and black artistry, and it's just not okay. It's not okay that this continues to happen year after year after year after year after year. But your fan base still thinks that Elvis Presley was the king of rock and roll when that's been disproven forever. Okay? Real ones know. Shout out to Sister Rosetta Tharpe. Okay? Shout out to Little Richard. Okay? But anyways, I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of white people using black art and not crediting them. Not crediting artists who do it 10 times better than you will ever do it, okay? You're not even funky enough to use that sample, okay? You are not even funky enough to use that sample, Taylor.